I do think that we're in a really terrifying and depressing time. And I think that part of it is we don't know if something huge is about to get started. And we don't even know what this is. I mean, we just sit here in this weird world that is falling into some new state. And we're not even super curious. It's like, what the hell just happened? Everybody's got an answer. And I'm positive that all of those answers are wrong.
Let's try to at least sneak up on the good answer.
So the central core of the answer is that the U.S. seemed to be the greatest thing in the world, in large measure because we hadn't noticed that we were getting a benefit from having no plan, not having to make a plan for low growth. As long as we had growth, we were in great shape. Let's imagine that there was that you could run an experiment. You have 1 billion copies of Earth, and you start the initial conditions slightly different. On some giant number of planets, a lot of the things that were discovered from the 1800s through the end of the 20th century are discovered in a period of time, because a lot of that just has to do with once you crack the puzzle of getting better instruments, you can see more. And the more you can see, the more you can make use of what you can see. And it turns out there was lots of stuff to do with, like, germs or electron orbitals or, spectrum, electromagnetic spectrum. And so we got to do all of those things. And the US roughly corresponded for a good chunk of its history with this bonanza. And so, of course, we look like an amazing, genius country. We have no plan. Imagine that you could sell a car. You don't have to put in seatbelts. You don't have to put in airbags. You don't have to put in rear view mirrors or sensors or a rear view mirror. You could save a lot of money on a car by not putting in all of the stuff to keep things from going wrong. And I think that's what we had. We had a machine that, as long as growth was insanely good, we plowed it back, the riches and spoils and treasure back into the system and made more genius stuff. And we carried along a good chunk of humanity, hundreds of millions of people. We did not have a plan for what happens when the growth goes below the stall speed of our society.
How confident should we be that the growth has slowed in a way that is permanent rather than a kind of permanent slap in the face where
it's not the right concept. The right concept is, I try to use the same words over and over again in case people see multiple, because then the perseveration actually gets somewhere. So I use this analogy of the orchard because everyone talks about low-hanging fruit. Mm-hmm. They know the concept of low-hanging fruit, but they don't think in terms of orchards. So they say things like, you think we've picked all the low-hanging fruit, but I believe in the infinite inventiveness of the human mind.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that doesn't even work as an analogy. What if the idea is we only picked all the low-hanging fruit here, and then we're having this stupid argument about low-hanging fruit, and we're not going and looking for new orchards? We're not planting new orchards. We're not looking for forests. We're just sitting here arguing about low-hanging fruit. So my claim is there's probably a lot more low-hanging fruit, and it's not here.
It's in other orchards.
It's in other orchards. One of those turned out to be the digital orchard. The digital orchard has not been as stagnant as lots of these other, like the chemical orchard,
I have faith that there's a small percentage of the population, but not zero, that's looking for those other orchards. Like, I'm excited about one of those orchards, which is, I believe there'll be robots in everybody's homes, and that will unlock some totally new thing, totally new set of technologies, ideas, the way we live life, the productivity, everything. It'll change everything. So I'm excited about that orchard. So I'm roaming that orchard and wondering how the hell you kind of bring back, like the ant that finds a new source of food.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find an apple I can bring back to the
great. So you're in an explorer idiom.
And do you have faith that there's enough of those?
I don't think there are very many of us. I mean, I'm one of them too.
Yeah. How many does it take? It takes one ant. It takes one ant.
What are you talking about?
How many Elons does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Okay. Let's imagine that imagine some ant goes and finds a new source of food.
Yeah.
Right. And then it comes back to the colony and it says, hey, I think I found a new source of food. And the initial reaction is, You're not authorized to find new food. What? Why would you try to go find new food?
We're going to remove you from Twitter.
Yeah. And by the way, I think the fact that you think you're allowed to go find new food shows how privileged you are as an ant. Get out of the colony. Kill him. Well, that's probably not a great model for finding new orchards. And I think that what we find is that where there's a system that allows somebody to ascend without a lot of gatekeeping, you can have that. But, I saw this happen in hedge funds. Hedge funds for a while hoovered up a lot of talent because they were places that had funding and had freedom. And in general, really smart people want to be free, and they don't want to think a lot about how they're going to, feed themselves. They want to get lost in their minds. So you can either give them productive places to play, dangerous places to play. They're either going to break into computers or find vaccines for you or build bombs or build companies. And we're not providing for the people who have to disrupt and have to innovate and trying to channel that effort. We're so focused on this other thing, which is like fairness and safety. And fairness and safety, by the way, are really important. I don't want to denigrate them. But the singular focus on fairness and safety without, in the same breath, being focused on growth and discovery and creation is going to doom us, because what we're talking about is we're always talking about divvying up the pie that is, as opposed to the pie that will be. Imagine that you spent all your time trying to divvy up the 13th century pie and you destroyed your ability to get to the 20th century. You'd be an idiot.
But one place I think I disagree with you is I don't think you need that many people to empower the geniuses, the innovators, the people who refuse to spend most of their days in meetings about fairness.
This is good. Let's have a disagreement.
I think podcasting, whatever you call that medium, is just one little example of a tool that you can give power to. Like, you and your podcast can have the next Elon Musk and make him a star.
Now I see where you're going. Okay. There has been a series of places for people to play and be free. And we've lost them successively.
What's a good place you remember? Because I disagree with you there too. I think they're still there. You can still play.
You interviewed Noam Chomsky.
Yes.
Okay. Noam Chomsky comes from an era
where you can play.
Where you could play.
At MIT.
At MIT.
And you can't play. This is where I disagree with you.
We've already had this.
But
go check the Clips channel for the Lex Fridman Podcast.
I think I wasn't brave enough at that time, and I'm not really brave enough now.
Come on.
Because
Where's the vodka?
It's a feeling, and people are going to tear me apart. Oh, what are you? And you speak from emotions and facts.
Wait.
The feeling.
Which podcast is this? It's yours.
Yes.
Okay. Tell the people who are currently editing your brain, because I saw that move right now.
Yeah.
That they should go find another podcast. Right? Let's get rid of some of your audience right now.
Yeah, please go find another podcast if you're editing my brain. Nevertheless, all the self-doubt, they're sitting in that brain.
Oh my God, I can't stand to watch this. But all right.
Yeah, okay.
What is this self-doubt loop that you're in?
The thing is, when I walk the halls of MIT, there's bureaucracy, there's administrators that never have done anything interesting in their entire lives. There's meetings, there's
all the usual crap.
All the usual crap. But there's, in the eyes of individuals, there's this glow of excitement that has nothing to do with career.
I understand this.
And that's just, it's still a playground. There's little pockets of playgrounds from which genius can emerge still. And they're unaffected by diversity meetings or fairness meetings or blah, blah, blah.
I love to hear this.
Yeah? Well, you don't think so?
I don't believe it. Because I've watched the change, Lex. I've watched people edit. We are all editing ourselves all the time. I remember my old mind. I liked it better. All of this relentless focus on critical race theory and, critical theory, postmodernism, fairness, social justice, it's making many of us into worse people.
You think do you think the Matt Damons of the character is paying attention to any of that? You think that has an effect?
Have you seen what happened to Matt Damon himself? Matt Damon has tried to say various things at various times that seem to be relatively innocuous. He can't can't speak.
Okay, well let's not mix up. Matt Damon is just an actor.
No. He was just a Harvard student who came up with his own genius screenplay, acted, and made it happen. No,
But
we're somewhere else.
You don't think you can build a rocket company out of
I
MIT still?
I think that there are things that you can still do,
but we're losing them.
We lose them. We keep losing them.
I would say the biggest problem here, let me just say like what I think the solution would be is to fire anybody who's not faculty, especially young faculty should have way more power, and administration should have much less power. Because right now the administration, which some of whom used to be faculty, but they've lost the fire, the spark that gave them, they've lost the memories of the playground. And so the people that admire and love the playground, like you could see it in their behavior, should have way more power. And so we should create systems that give them power.
Lex, you're very idealistic.
Yeah.
And you've got a huge heart. This is a weird time because I don't want to dissuade you from believing beautiful things. Because I see how potent you are. You do all these things: jiu-jitsu, guitar, podcasting, programming computers, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think you're right. I think we're in a really deeply screwed up place.